Welcome, everybody, to Cybersecurity and Cloud, what you need to know to protect your business and clients. Today's presentation will be conducted by Darragh Fitzpatrick. Darragh is a partner and the Executive Vice President at Tabush Group, a leading provider of virtual workspace, private cloud, and managed IT services based in New York City that specializes in delivering technology solutions for small to mid-sized firms. Darragh has over 20 years of experience in the field of information technology. He joined the Tabush team in 2005, originally as a consultant and then network architect. In 2009, he became a partner in Tabush and took on the role of EVP. In 2015, he helped lead the development of a new all-in-one cloud IT service designed to specifically meet the ongoing security needs of small to mid-sized firms. Having been involved in approximately $20 million of IT implementations and projects at Tabush, Darragh has designed and managed the build-out of countless companies' IT infrastructures and has successfully put in place systems to maintain the security, robustness, and scalabilities of these infrastructures. As EVP, his focus includes system architecture and business development, as well as account and project management. As an avid technologist and to ensure the Tabush team meets the high standards expected by the firm's clients, he's continually educating himself on developments in the technology industry. Originally from Ireland, Darragh has a Bachelor of Science degree in Computer Science from the University of Greenwich in London. Before relocating to New York in the early 2000s, he was an IT manager at several firms in London. Darragh has extensive experience speaking on the topics of cybersecurity and cloud for non-tech savvy audiences. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome our speaker, Darragh Fitzpatrick.
So the learning objectives today, by the end of this webinar, the goal is for you to have a better understanding of why your business is a target, how small and mid-sized businesses get hacked, how you can protect your business, and how cloud can help with cybersecurity. We will do this in a very non-technical manner, so do not worry. Let's first start by defining cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is the protection of computers, networks, programs, and data from unintended, unauthorized access, change, or destruction. So let's next start by defining what cloud is. So the National Institute of Standards and Technology defines it as follows. Cloud computing is a model for enabling ubiquitous, convenient, on-demand network access to a shared pool. Wow, that's even a little bit tough for me to get through. I had said I wasn't going to get technical, so I apologize for that. So we'll move to the next slide. This is what some people think of when they think of the cloud. Now, this may be going too far in the opposite direction. So in plain English, basically the cloud is hundreds of large buildings located around the world called data centers, all connected to the internet. Each data center contains resources such as servers, storage, processing power, etc., that we as businesses and users can subscribe to as needed. So why is cybersecurity such a hot topic? What has changed that has made this the case? Many things have occurred, however, there are two key things. Internet connectivity has gotten cheaper, faster, and therefore much more widely available. More businesses have broadband internet services in place and in use than ever before. This has changed how we share data and collaborate with other businesses and colleagues. It has also led to a boom in the development of applications that leverage this fast-performing internet. These applications are what we call cloud applications or cloud services. IT has been integral to business operations since the 90s. We have been using networks and applications for a long time. However, prior to cloud, this all happened within the four walls of our offices. Our network apps and data were mainly isolated. When we did exchange data with people, it was via email or maybe file transfer services, such as FTP. This is no longer the case. With the advancement of cloud, we are now always on and always connected, always sharing data, and always collaborating. This not only applies to our businesses, but it applies to us as individuals as well. We are also always plugged in. We're constantly working with less barriers. Social media services are a prime example of this. We're intrinsically sharing more data than ever before, sometimes without even being fully aware. So on that, let's do a poll.
Okay, everyone, you should see a poll in front of you. Do you share personal and/or business information online in some way, such as your email address, your position in your firm, etc.? Please select either yes or no. Overwhelmingly, 100% of all attendees on the webinar have said, in fact, yes.
These are some of the most common types of cloud services used by small and mid-sized businesses. We have file sharing, such as services like Ignite, Citrix File Share, and Dropbox. Practice management software, such as Clio, Rocket Matter, LexisNexis. Email, such as Office 365 and Google Mail. Remote access, such as LogMeIn and GoToMyPC. Phone system services like Vonage and 8x8. And desktop as a service, which is a newer technology, newer cloud technology, and a service called BoxTop. So here's one further poll.
This poll is, do you currently use some sort of cloud service for any of these functions? And please select any that apply. About 75% say they do use some sort of cloud service for file sharing. 75% also say they use some sort of cloud service for email. 50% say that they use some sort of cloud service for remote access, and 25% say that they use a cloud phone system. But 0% say that they are currently using a desktop as a service cloud.
Okay, so from the polls, we see that the large majority of you use social media. Actually, all of you use social media for business and personal reasons. And all of you use at least one key cloud service for your business, or some of you use multiple. This means you're all probably sharing files with colleagues inside and outside your company. You're accessing your data inside your network from remote locations. You are doing this from smart devices and mobile devices, sometimes devices that are maybe not even your own. As you can see, how you now use these services has opened up the systems and data that were once closed off to the outside world. Since we are storing and exchanging information differently than before, how we secure our data has to be changed. Building a strong perimeter around our data is no longer possible, and it's no longer a viable business solution. This is the reason security is such an important and hot topic now. So why would your business be a target? The truth is, most people think their firm is not at risk. We will address that in a minute. Looking at all these companies, ask yourself the question, what do they all have in common? If you answer that they all have had a high publicized security breach over the last few years, you will be right. All these companies are also large enterprise level businesses. Not one is a small business. Due to the high media coverage of breaches like these, the prevailing thought for many is that cybersecurity is really an issue for these large type of firms. All the businesses listed on this slide are well-known companies. They attract attention. They have large amounts of important data, and they have lots of money. They are prime targets. This is not something that small and mid-sized business owners or management need to occupy their thoughts with, right? So that leads to the question, is cybersecurity only an issue for these types of large companies? Well, the answer is a loud and resounding no. Here are some very interesting statistics that point to this and maybe help point to why. 60% of small business owners don't believe cybersecurity is a risk to their business. However, over 60% of cybercrime victims in the US are small to mid-sized businesses. Also, less than 15% of small to mid-sized businesses have the basic protections in place to prevent a security breach. These three stats alone point to a very serious trend, right? Some of the other statistics that are cautionary are, according to Kaspersky, the average breach cost for a small business is approximately $47,000. And according to the National Cybersecurity Alliance, 60% of businesses with a serious breach will go out of business within 6 months. Money is lost to the loss of productivity due to system outages and the inability to work, but also money paid out directly to the person or group that caused the security breach. Cybercrime is now directly monetized. We will speak more to that later. So why is your small or mid-sized business attractive to cyber criminals? Well, first of all, it's the type of data you have, not how much data you have. This is what makes your business attractive. All businesses, no matter what size, has data that is private and important, whether it is your own or a client's. Also, your business is like any other. If you cannot access your client data or your data, you cannot communicate digitally with your clients, and thus your business is not making money. If your firm is a small law practice, for instance, it is very possible that you're working with very large, prominent firms. My IT firm is less than 30 staff, but we have in the past and still do work with businesses with very marketable brands. Cyber criminals know this and look to actively take advantage of this. There is a term for it. It's called island hopping. This is where a smaller firm is breached with the end goal of accessing their larger enterprise client systems. Your business is just the gateway. In the previous slide, I had Target listed. Their breach occurred to a contractor that worked in their facility. The hack started there. Now, what motivates hackers in cybercrime? Well, there are generally 4 different factors. The first is revenge. A disgruntled partner or staff member that wants to do you and your business harm. 30% of security breaches actually occur from inside your business. Competition. Cybercrime is now a business. Everybody in business wants to be the best, right? Well, hackers are no different. They want the glory of being the person that writes the best piece of malicious software that gets the most publicity and causes the most damage to as many businesses as possible. Hacktivism. This is where a person or group attacks an entity for political ideology. Anonymous is probably the most well-known hacktivist group. Did anyone read about the internet issues last month across the US? One of the major companies, Dyn, spelled D-Y-N, that manages routing of services on the internet, was attacked using a piece of malware called Mirai. The malware works by infecting mainly consumer products, causing each to send thousands of requests to Dyn servers, making them inaccessible to anyone or any other websites, hence causing certain sites such as Netflix, Amazon, etc. to be inaccessible. It has been reported in the New York Times that the group behind this attack was a group of hacktivists that have issues with the commercial controlling of the online gaming market. Supposedly Dyn did something to annoy this group, and the attack on that Friday was the result of that. However, there have also been stories linking this attack to WikiLeaks supporters. It is obviously not straightforward, but as you saw last month, attacks like this can have a big impact, especially when consumer items, which have internet connectivity in place but not a lot of security, are compromised and used. This will be an ever-increasing security risk. Money. As I said, cybercrime is considered a business by some. Everyone is in business to make money. There was a famous bank robber named Willie Burke from Brooklyn, New York, who was robbing banks for 20 years. After he was caught, he was interviewed and was asked, "Hey Willie, why did you rob banks?" His answer was simple and to the point, because that's where the money is. Cybercrime pays, it pays well, it pays quickly, and it pays generally in very untraceable ways. Now that we understand the why, let's talk about how small and mid-sized businesses like yours are being attacked. Malware or viruses are created and distributed predominantly via email to thousands of people. A Word, Excel, PDF, or zip file that contains the malware is attached to the email. The hope is that the user will open the email, open the file, and therefore activate the malware. The latest and most damaging type of malware is called ransomware. Once activated on your PC or network, it encrypts all and any files it can access. There are 2 ways to gain access back to your files once they are encrypted. You can delete the encrypted files and restore the files from backup. Unfortunately, many firms do not manage their backups correctly or store their backups on the exact same network that they store their production data, which means their backup data is probably going to be encrypted by the same ransomware virus. The only option left is to attain the decryption tool by paying the online ransom. We have seen ransoms of anywhere from $500 to as high as $3,000. The largest ransom I am aware of was paid by the Hollywood Presbyterian Hospital earlier this year. They paid $17,500 to get their data back. The process to pay the ransom is cumbersome, as one has to pay using Bitcoin. It also takes time, in total probably 24 to 48 hours, which means you're also losing money due to lack of productivity. If you haven't heard of Bitcoin before, it is a non-printed digital currency. In actual fact, whether it can be called a currency or not is up for debate also. It is referenced as a commodity by the Wall Street Journal. There is no central authority in charge of Bitcoin, therefore transactions are managed by the issuer. The currency does have a dollar value and may become more mainstream. As it has no central authority, it is the perfect way for hackers to get paid. I'm sure many people have received phishing emails, both to personal and business email addresses. In this instance, the email is disguised to look like it's coming from a trusted source. It encourages you to click on a link and directs you to a website that looks valid. In this case, the trusted source is supposed to be Bank of America's customer service team, asking for some account information to be updated. As you can see from the URL that's highlighted on the slide, and that's entered into the browser, the website you're looking at, though it looks very much like Bank of America's, is in fact not. The person logs into the online account, compromising their login credentials immediately, and maybe updates their tax ID, social security number, address info, etc. All very pertinent information that is used to secure your business or personal bank account. Phishing emails are now being used to distribute malware also. I refer to social engineering as a 21st century con. This is where someone is contacted, again via email, with the idea to prey on the possibility of that person making a poor decision. In the last 2 years, we've seen this become very prevalent. In this example, you see an email from Ben to George, where Ben is requesting George send a document to him that contains very important company financial data. To the naked eye, the email is sent from Ben's email address, whereas in fact it's not. Under the hood of this email, one would find that the email is from another email address entirely. Ben's email address is being masked, a process which is called spoofing, and unfortunately is not very hard to do at all. Sometimes spoofing is not used. Instead, in a more targeted situation, a domain is registered by the attacker to match the target's domain, but is different by one letter. For instance, my email address is Darragh Fitzpatrick at Tabush.com. A hacker may register and use at tabusl.com and send an email as if from me. Many people do not notice this. But back to this example. Luckily, George was paying attention and called Ben to confirm why he wanted these details. Why did he do this? Well, Ben never signs off his emails as Benedict. Unfortunately, we've seen social engineering examples which have been very successful, in one case leading to one firm to wire $125,000. Brute force targeting is where a person or a group specifically targets a business using all the skills in their arsenal to gain access to a business's system and data. This usually is a process that is leveled at larger, more prominent entities and is generally not a concern for small and mid-sized businesses. This meme, as you all may recognize, is from the epic movie Spaceballs, from the scene where they're sharing the master password, which in this case happens to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Believe it or not, simple passwords like this are still very commonly used, and therefore, unfortunately, the primary way businesses still get breached is due to poor or a complete lack of password management. This pains me to no end. On the theme of passwords, I like this quote from Chris Perello. Passwords are like underwear. You don't let people see it, you should change it often, and you should never share it with strangers. The big question now is how can we protect your business from these type of threats? We need to tackle this issue in two ways, from a policy and cultural standpoint and from a technical standpoint. I'll get to the technical aspect next, but first let's discuss your internal policies and culture. Looking at the type of threats that your business is at risk to, it's apparent that for the most part, in order for a security breach to be successful, human interaction is required. In fact, 95% of the time, an employee is somehow, generally unknowingly, involved in a security breach. We need to build a culture of security within our businesses, and we need to learn to self-police. We need to ensure that as a business there is a focus on security. We need to make sure that this focus is being addressed from the top down. Ownership and management need to make it a priority by investing in it to whatever degree is feasible. If they do not show its importance, no one else will believe it to be either. By building this focus and importance, you'll create buy-in from everyone else in the firm. As this culture of security is being built, it's essential to have training. It's important to remember that the least computer-savvy person in your firm has the same responsibility in securing your data and network as the most savvy. Everybody think of that person in your firm right now. That in and of itself should be enough for everyone to start building a culture and start looking to educate once this webinar is complete. Training will achieve two things. It will educate your team on how to work in a more secure way, and it will show them how they are being targeted, what to open and what not to open, etc. More importantly, it will provide them with an understanding as to why they need to work and collaborate in a certain way, therefore leading to further buy-in and acceptance of policies that need to be put in place. This is key. People will also realize that working in a secure way benefits their relationships directly with their clients. Their clients will appreciate that they are protecting their data in this way. This type of buy-in will inherently lead to acceptance and therefore lead to self-policing. This will mean your team and people will understand why there should be password policies in place, even though making your password 10 characters long with numbers and alphanumeric characters and then having to change that password every 90 days can be a pain. They will understand why it is important that if as a business the decision has been made to use a particular file share program, say for instance Ignite for Business, that it is not okay to use Dropbox, even though it may be easier to do this in certain situations. They will understand why a personal Gmail account is not an option to send information to a client, even though it allows you to send a very large file to your colleague that the business email system does not. We actually have blocked access to all third-party email sites for our clients. It seems silly to invest so much in securing one's network, applications, emails, and files, only to open a backdoor through a personal Gmail account. There are some great tools to help you see how susceptible your firm is to phishing, malware, and social engineering emails. The tool allows you to mimic the type of email threats we discussed and send them to your team to see who opens, who deletes, who clicks on links, and who enters data, etc. Talk to your IT partner. They should have some good suggestions for you. Finally, it is important to be prepared. Every system can be breached. So working with your IT team or partner to ensure you have good backups and business continuity planning in place. Should your business have cyber insurance? Do you have to meet any specific compliance needs? Get a good understanding of what you should have in place and ensure these needs are being met with a good current response plan. When it comes to protecting your business from a technical standpoint, the bad news is there is no silver bullet. There is no one system that can be brought and implemented that can fully protect you. The good news is there are multiple ways you can minimize the chance of a security breach from occurring by selecting and putting in place the right security layers. So what do I mean by security layers? Let me explain. When securing anything, your house, your office, or in this case your network, the first thing that needs to be understood is that a layered approach is required. The easiest way to explain this is to look to the security one may have in place on a house. Your most valuable items will be locked in a safe, or may be locked in a safe. The safe is locked in a safe room. All windows and doors around your house will have strong secure locks also. You may have an alarm system, and the alarm system will probably be monitored in some ways so that if it is tripped, an action can be taken. You may have a large perimeter wall around your house with a nice security gate. This is obviously a very big house. There are multiple layers of security, each acting in different ways to protect the house. It's extremely important that we take this layered approach to security when it comes to our IT infrastructure as well. Our infrastructure can be breached in multiple ways. We therefore need to have layers protecting the network and data in different ways. It's not sufficient any longer to have semantic antivirus, for instance, installed as your single layer of protection. So what are the key basic security layers one should have in place for your business? Your office internet connection is the entrance to your network from the internet. A strong gate is required. Every business needs to install all the data passing through to see if it is safe. Countless times we see businesses putting in place minimum grade equipment at this point. As we have seen, email is the most prominent delivery mechanism for malware, phishing, and social engineering. All email needs to have a security service inspecting it prior to it arriving in your mailbox. Many firms now use third-party hosted email services such as Office 365 and ShareWeb. These services have email security services built in. However, these companies are not focused on securing your email. They are focused on delivering your email. An email security service is focused on constantly reviewing the current threat landscape and looking to combat it by constantly upgrading its technology to fight it. This year, some of the better solutions, for example, have introduced technology to combat spoofing and introduced protection to allow for attachments to be opened up in a manner that, if malicious, removes the chances of infection. As I said, email is the most prominent way small and mid-sized businesses will be compromised. Therefore, I'd recommend you utilize a third-party security service, even if using a third-party hosted email platform. Again, talk to your IT partner who should have some good information for you on this area. All endpoints on your network, servers, and desktop computers need to have virus and malware protection installed and running. Any device that has access to your data from inside your network or remotely needs to have this protection in place. Over the last 2 years, we have added additional layers on user endpoints also. In 2015, we added a service that reviews a request made by a user to any website. If that website has been listed as being compromised in any way, the request is prevented, so access to the website is blocked. It also prevents the endpoint from being used as a tool in the type of attack we saw occur this past month that we discussed earlier. In 2016, with the advancement in ransomware and the damage it causes, we added another layer of security to every Windows device that a user touches that is built specifically to combat ransomware. It has had a great effect on the security of the endpoints we manage. All software applications and operating systems, be that Mac or Windows, etc., have vulnerabilities that can be exploited. It is imperative that these vulnerabilities are removed. Microsoft, Apple all release regular updates that need to be applied on a scheduled basis in a systemized manner, not manually, to all user devices. With the advancement of smart devices, people are working from outside the office as much as they are working from inside the office. They are connected to the same systems and data while on the move. This means that the security we put in place in our office networks must be applied to our people when they work on the move. This is called policy-based management. Security is not a product you can buy and apply. It's not a static process. How your business and data is secured needs to be constantly reviewed and updated to adapt to the changing threat landscape. It is therefore imperative that the different security layers are managed and monitored. Having each one of these in place is irrelevant if somebody is not ensuring they are functioning correctly, or if someone is not reviewing the information being provided and taking action. For instance, if not being monitored, what happens if one of the security layers is breached? We have talked about how cloud services is one of the main reasons we have had to rethink how we secure our network and data. But utilizing the cloud helps with cybersecurity. So how do cloud services inherently make us more secure? Cloud services are run from large data center facilities. They inherently have physical protections in place that a small and mid-sized business does not or could not have in place at their offices. Things such as building structure, power, and internet redundancy. The IT infrastructure and the built-in security that cloud service companies run their services on are superior to what a small and mid-sized business could feasibly invest into their own infrastructure. The cloud service also comes with the expertise required to manage and support the system. Cloud services allow for users to be mobile and continue to work without having to store data locally. A good example would be Ignite or Citrix File Share. Another would be Dropbox, but we don't recommend that platform to our clients. There are now also, as we mentioned earlier, Desktop as a Service, or DaaS, or Workspace as a Service, or WaaS cloud environments, which not only allow you to attain your data from the cloud, but also your PC and all your applications as well. That's a full presentation on its own, but it's a very exciting cloud solution. Cloud allows you to store data outside the physical location your people work from. This means that a breach to, say, your office network does not mean a breach to all your systems and all your data. Your cloud service can continue to operate. Therefore, your business can continue to function. Cloud is technology. Something will go wrong at some point. Therefore, backups of business continuity systems are all inherent in any good cloud service. This means as a manager or owner, you know your critical applications and data running in the cloud are protected. It is important to note that not all cloud services provide all these critical benefits. It is very important you work with an IT partner that has the expertise in helping you select the right cloud service. Once the right cloud service has been identified, it is important that the right expertise is utilized to ensure that the migration to the cloud is handled as efficiently and effectively as possible with minimal disruption to your business. When talking about security, it can become a very scary discussion. I like to say, don't be scared, be more prepared. Backups. They need to be in place. They need to be managed on a daily basis so that you know they are working. More than one backup is key also, and I would recommend that one always be offsite. There are multiple cloud backup options that can be put in place to protect your data and push it offsite. It is important to note that certain backup services are good for only certain types of data. Again, work with your IT partner to select the correct backup service. Have a breach response plan. This is something that you should have in place with your IT partner. What should you expect when something does happen? How quickly can your team respond and bring your systems back online? Do you have any compliance regulations you need to meet? More importantly, does the plan meet your needs as a business? For instance, if your business cannot function for longer than 24 hours without one particular application, there must be a provision to ensure this application can be returned to service if compromised within this time period. Lastly, I just want to show you this screenshot. This is from a website that shows the origins and threats of cyber attacks across the globe as they occur. This was snapped after letting the site run for 30 minutes, approximately just under the same duration of this webinar. During a 30-minute period, over 6,000 cyber attacks have been launched against places in the US. This is the new reality. This is the scenario you should be sitting down and discussing with your IT team or IT partner to ensure the right steps are being taken to protect your business and data, that the layers in place are being managed and monitored, and finally, that the layers are constantly being reviewed and updated to adjust to the ever-changing threat landscape. I'd now like to open it up for questions and answers, and please feel free to take note of my contact information. If there's anything you have further questions about or want to get in touch about, please feel free to email or call me anytime. Thank you.
Thank you, Darragh. Hello again, everybody. This is Sarah Cundiff again. I will be moderating our Q&A. If anybody has any questions at any time, please feel free to put them into the question box in your dashboard. We do have a couple of questions that came through already, so we'll go ahead and start with those. The first question is, a lot of my team works remotely. How do I secure their devices like I do in our office?
So we refer to a couple of different areas during the presentation. It depends how your team are working, but there are lots of solutions available now that, as I said, that are cloud-based that inherently allow this to happen. We talked about Ignite, for instance, which is a file sharing system, which allows you to access your files very simply and efficiently from a cloud service without actually opening up or dropping parts of those files or storing those files on the local device that you're running from, be that a tablet or a laptop. We mentioned desktop as a service or workspace as a service solutions, one of which is BoxTop, which we developed over the last 2 years, which actually goes a step further. It not only delivers you your data, it actually streams your PC to your screen like in the same manner that Netflix streams and delivers a movie to any screen. By doing this, you get your Windows PC, you get all your applications running on your Windows PC, and you get all access to the data you would normally access from your office space. The greatest thing about this solution is it can work from anywhere with an internet connection, and as I said, it leaves no footprint on any device that you work on. So therefore, bringing your own device to work and using that is not an issue. Working on any device from home is not an issue. Working in a business center in a hotel is not an issue, because from a security standpoint, everything is stored centrally in the cloud.
Okay, thank you, Darragh. The next question, actually, I think you already might have covered in your answer, but it was, you mentioned desktop as a service as a new technology, and what is this? So if you wanted to go into any more about that technology, now is the time.
So the technology allows us, as I said, to stream your PC to any screen with an internet connection. The advantages really of this as a business owner is that it takes away a lot of the questions you have to ask yourself in terms of being able to back up your data, secure your data, add business continuity to your systems, because now we are not only putting certain applications in the cloud or certain data in the cloud, we're taking all your infrastructure. So that means your PC no longer needs to sit at your desk. You don't need a PC at your desk. Every server storing files and applications is moved to the cloud also. So this means that as you move from location to location, as you have an internet connection, you really have your office applications and data being mobile with you. This inherently means that the geographic location of your office becomes irrelevant if some type of disaster happens, because you're accessing everything that you're accessing from your computer from any point. So it just takes the cloud service theory and practice to another level by not only moving applications, but by removing the need for hardware. And this opens up a lot of different abilities for your team, while also simplifying IT from an operational standpoint as a business owner. And it also answers a lot of the questions and helps in a lot of the questions that we have when we talk about protecting data being transferred in and out of your network. Well, that's inherent in the ecosystem of a desktop as a service environment. When we talk about adding business continuity, that's inherent. When we're talking about adding backups, that's inherent. So all these things that you have to decide as an owner of a business, they're reduced to the point of just how do I scale and grow and concentrate in my business.
Great. Thank you so much, Darragh. If anyone has any more questions at this point, I encourage you to put them in the question box. Otherwise, we will wrap up the webinar. So I'll just give everyone another 30 seconds or so if they'd like to add in a question. Okay, I don't think at this point we have any further Q&A, but like Darragh said, his contact information is on the screen. Feel free to email or call at any time if any questions do come up. And just to let you know, we will be having another webinar in the next few weeks on running your business in the cloud. So stay tuned for information from us about that. Thank you so much, everybody, and we hope you have